bright and early, a little after 8 this morning, and I've already got one job knocked off. It's not a perfect job, but it'll keep most of the moisture out of the structure. And so now I can move on to, I've got to do the ventilation, and I've got to pick up a couple of things for that. And I just need to, I don't have to mow the whole thing really well, but I need to weed whack enough of this area that I can put the fencing down without worrying about it shorting out. Because with these electric net fences, if anything's pushing up against the wires, it grounds the electricity, making it useless as an electric fence. So that is for this afternoon at the earliest. My plan is to put the chickens in there on Wednesday, because it's supposed to cool off. And then they need to stay in there for 3 or 4 days without going out, so that they figure out that this is where home is and don't escape. And then I'll let them out into their run area and get them settled in. I need to mow yet, but it's still too damp, and that part of the field is just starting to get sun. So I won't do that right now. I think the girls are up here already, and I think they're looking for the slugs, which I can't complain about because I really don't want slugs. But I also don't want chickens in my garden. So we got to get this worked out. But so I guess I'm going to run into town. Well, I think I'm going to go check my schedule and see if there's anything interesting going on today. I believe the farm market in Edmiston is today, and I think the Unadilla Carnival of Sales is today, which is a big community yard sale. So I think I'm going to go check my schedule and maybe go out and do something. And then when I come back this afternoon, I can do that mowing. Sounds like a plan. So New York State takes their community yard sales very seriously. The Unadilla Carnival of Sales was about a mile of yard sales with anything you could think of and name for sale. I actually showed a great deal of restraint and didn't get a whole lot. I did get a bookshelf for the kitchen and a print for the library, which is the Ben Franklin, it's called Franklin Court in Philadelphia, which it just seemed like a nice conjunction of publishing books and my history in Philadelphia. And I got a fishing net so that I can catch chickens when I need to. I am very excited that that experiment is working so far. So in case you didn't notice or you weren't here for my 4th of July episode, when I mulched these beds, I added squash seeds to provide a cover crop, just to give it some shade protection, retain moisture, reduce weeds. And I didn't really think it was going to work, but it's working. I'm very excited. Even if I don't get any squash off of it, just the fact that the plants are coming up proves the concept. The timing may be off, but I'm very happy. So some of my salad turnips were ready to be picked, and I don't generally like salad turnips in salad, but I did this for the first time last year. These are pickled, and it's just a very simple pickle in a vinegar and salt and sugar brine. It's 6 tablespoons of sugar, 2.5 teaspoons of salt, a half cup of rice wine vinegar, and a cup of hot water. And the hot water is just to melt the sugar. And you could put other things in here. You could put thin slices of ginger to give it a little extra. You could put some herbs in there if you wanted. You could even put thin slices of onion in there. If you used a red onion, it would give them a little bit of a color. But it's just a real nice, simple thing to have in the fridge. You know, once I'm done here, I'm just going to stick this in the fridge, and those turnips are going to absorb that brine, and that'll pickle them. And then anytime I'm having anything that needs a little bit of crunch and a little bit of sour, and I don't like sour, so these are on the sweeter side of sour, this is going to give me that little bit of extra flavor to go with the meal. And it used up 6 of my turnips, so I have finally preserved something out of my own garden. So this is a very special jar of pickles. Chook, chook, chooks. That's 2/3 of that done. My arm can't take that hole saw anymore. My shoulder and my wrist are just wiped out. I had hoped that that would work a lot faster than it has been, but it doesn't fit in my impact driver, so I have to use my regular drill, and that doesn't have the torque needed to get through these very quickly. So I'm just going very slowly and trying really hard not to push too hard. That's when it jerks like that and tries to break my wrist. I have one more to do here. I have one to do on the wall behind you, and I want to do 2 in the door. That'll get the cross ventilation going through this way. I'm already feeling such a difference in here with these holes, so I'm really glad I took the time to do this rather than just getting the girls right in here. So I'm going to take a break from this. I'm pretty much out of lath screws anyway, so I need to get some more lath screws. And let me tell you, lath screws are the way to go when you're working with hardware cloth. I presume it'll work as well with chicken wire, although the holes are a lot bigger, but it's just, it holds a lot stronger than the staples I was using was. on the chicken tractor, and in fact I need to go back over that chicken tractor because so many of those staples have pulled out. So once the girls are in here, I will get another box of lath screws and just go over that whole thing. I've got a couple other things I want to tweak on that as well, but once the girls aren't in it, then I can worry about that. But for now, I'm going to take a break from this, give my shoulder and my wrist a chance to recover, and I'm going to go do something fun. This is a blueberry farm that's just up the road from my house, and I've basically been waiting since I moved here to be able to come out and pick blueberries. It seems pretty reasonable. It's $2 a pound, a pint's a pound, so it's about $4 a quart, which is very reasonable. My goal is to get 8 quarts, so let's start picking. When I was a kid, we went to a family church camp every summer. And it was just for a week. But that whole week, everyone in the camp would collect all of the milk boxes that were served on the table at meals. And they'd just build up in a big stack at the end of the dining room. And on the last day of camp, every family would take a share of those milk boxes. And on the way out of the area that the camp was in, there was a blueberry farm at the end of the road. So all these families that we'd just spent a week with would be at this blueberry farm picking blueberries. And of course it was the grown-ups were picking blueberries and the kids were eating blueberries and running around. But it was a really wonderful experience, and I haven't been able to do blueberry picking in that same way ever since. There were some blueberry farms in Pennsylvania, but it wasn't the same. And this is really nice because there's nobody else here. There was a family here when I got here, but they've finished and left. So it's really just me and this long row of blueberry bushes. And I can just slowly work my way down. I'm about halfway into my bucket so far. And then I've got 4 quart boxes to fill as well. And it's just a really nice way to spend the morning. Plus, I mean, these blueberries are enormous. Look at the size of that. They taste so good. Oh. Blueberries are probably my favorite fruit. And probably because it is tied to that sense memory of stopping at that South Haven, Michigan blueberry farm and picking half gallons of blueberries, and we'd go home with 4 half gallons of blueberries. I don't know how many of them made it home because we'd be eating them all, but it's nice having access to those memories of childhood as an adult, because we sort of remember them, but until you're in a more intense, almost reenactment of that memory, it doesn't sit the same. And I've got to do everything I can not to eat all these blueberries like I did when I was 8. But they're so good. So I have a lot of blueberries to process. I've got 8 quarts, which is a pint a pound. So that's like 16 pounds. That can't be right. That can't be right. Right? 2 pints and a quart. So that's 8 pounds plus a 6-pound bucket on the counter over there. More, and most of it is going to be jam. And I'm doing this pectin free. So this is going to take a little more time and a little more patience. Because I don't have the instant gelling with the pectin, I have to cook it to temperature. It's 212 degrees is the gel stage. So I'm just going to cook this down until, well, right now it's just the lemon juice, the blueberries, and my secret ingredient is lemon verbena. I love how lemon verbena tastes in blueberries. It gives it more of a wild blueberry taste. So it's one of my favorite things to add into blueberry jam. So I'm cooking this down until it softens and gets more liquidy, and then I'll add the sugar in. And then I cook it to 212 degrees and then jar it. And I'm going to do this batch. I'm going to wash the blueberries for the second batch, and then I'll jar it. I'll have it all jarred up, and I'll can it. The bucket, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. I think I'm going to at least get them washed, and I think I'm going to freeze these, or as many of them as I can fit on my cookie sheets, because that only holds so much, and I only have so much room in my freezer. So, lots to do in as short a time as I can. At least it's keeping me out of the heat. It's much cooler here, even in the kitchen, than it is outside. But when I get the water bath canner going, it's not going to be so cool in here anymore. So we'll do as much as we can in the time that we've got. I may have to run to the store because, believe it or not, I think I'm running out of sugar. I should have enough for a second batch, but if not, we'll be making a trip.
Plans. That took about an hour and a half, and I ended up with 2 pints of jam. That's insane. So this second batch I'm doing with a sugar-free pectin that I picked up at the farm stand near me. And we'll see how that goes. Although this also says it only makes 4 cups, which is 2 pints. So, and actually, to be fair, it made 2 full pints and about 3/4 of a third pint. So I've got that in the fridge right now. So I'm preparing this batch according to the directions that came with the pectin. And we'll see how that turns out. And so the other bucket I'm going to save and do another batch of jam. So it takes a lot more blueberries than it did strawberries to make jam. Because you remember with 8 quarts, I had all of those pints. I think I came up with 8 pints and 14 half pints. So a huge amount of jam from just those 8 quarts of fruit, whereas the blueberry is coming out at a lot lower production. So that's fine. That's part of the learning process. The nice thing is it's real cheap and easy to get more blueberries, so I may be doing blueberries for the next couple of weeks. I do want to have quite a bit of this jam put up. I'd like to have about the same as what I had for the strawberry, so 8 pints and a dozen half pints that I can use for gifts and whatnot. I also have to admit, the Otsego County Fair is coming up in about 2.5 weeks. And I wasn't going to, but then I realized I had a knitted piece that I could enter. And so now it's like, well, what else could I enter? I can enter some of my herbs, and now I want to enter some of my jam because I really like this jam and I'm very proud of it. So that's kind of where I'm at. So these are my special jars that are going to get entered in the county fair, because I live in a place that has a county fair now. And apparently, just like with the community yard sales, the county fair here is really serious. So I'm going to get to stirring this, and we'll get it jarred up and see how that goes.
so lessons for the day. I don't know if there's a taste difference between pectin and non-pectin, but I will be doing a test later and I'll show you guys that. The biggest difference is time. It took so long to cook that pectin-free jam down and really reduced the volume by about 1/3 of what I got out of it. That I think it's really only good for something special, unless there's a big taste difference, and I'll let you know about that. But for just putting up for use over the year, I think going with the pectin is just fine. I'm curious to see how this no sugar pectin is. And it's not add your own whatever, non-sugar substitute or whatever, although you can do that if you want it sweeter. This is just the pectin. So I'm very curious to see how this works out. I still have this entire bucket to do, which is going to get me at least one more batch, if not two. So I'm going to run into town. I've got to pick up a couple of things. I need paper towels to wash the blueberries with. I need more sugar just in case. I need more lemon juice regardless. And I need lag screws to finish the project in the chicken coop. So I think I'm going to wrap up here for the day. And I hope you'll come back tomorrow. We're expecting storms tomorrow, and this heat is finally going to break. So cross your fingers, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.